It was a call no one ever expects, an unresponsive pregnant woman, her life hanging in the balance. The morning of July 9, 2023, began like any other in Greenville, North Carolina. But within minutes, the ordinary became something no one could have imagined. Officers received a frantic call to the Heritage at Arlington Apartments, an address that would soon be marked by tragedy. Welcome to our channel Dark Motives. For more such videos, do like, share, and subscribe our channel. When they arrived, they found Jasmine Cooper, just 27 years old and 38 weeks pregnant, lying motionless on the floor of her apartment. The silence in the room was deafening. Jasmine's body was lifeless, and the urgency in the officers' movement spoke volumes. They quickly transported her to ECU Health Medical Center, hoping for a miracle. But as the doctors worked frantically to save her and her unborn child, the grim reality set in. Jasmine and her baby girl would not survive. Both were lost forever. The community was left in shock, asking the same question: what had happened inside that apartment? The search for answers was just beginning. The autopsy results sent shockwaves through the community. Jasmine Cooper had been brutally murdered. The cause of death was more than just brutal, it was calculated. Jasmine had suffered blunt force trauma to her head, followed by strangulation. The pathologist confirmed what many had feared. Jasmine's death wasn't a random act of violence, but something far more sinister. The fact that Jasmine was 38 weeks pregnant made the tragedy even worse. Her unborn child, a daughter she had planned to name Fiancé, died alongside her mother. The grief was unimaginable, but what made this case even more chilling was the nature of the crime. The injuries weren't just random, they were intentional. Someone had made a choice to inflict this pain, to take away two lives in the most horrific way possible. As investigators pieced together the evidence, they began to suspect something disturbing. This wasn't a stranger's crime. No, this act of violence seemed personal. And the more they uncovered, the clearer it became. The killer was someone very close to Jasmine, someone who should have been her protector. The question now lingered in the air, unanswered. Who could do something so unspeakable to a woman so close to giving birth to their own child? The search for the killer was intensifying, but the truth seems farther away than ever. Jasmine Cooper and Keyshawn Williams seemed like the perfect couple. There were no prior calls to the police, no signs of visible abuse, just a young couple in love, excited to start a family. On social media, Jasmine proudly shared her excitement about becoming a mother. She had already chosen a name for her unborn daughter, Fiancé, and posted photos of her growing belly, eagerly anticipating the arrival of her baby girl. To anyone looking in from the outside, their life together seemed normal. The pictures, the smiles, and the posts all told a story of a happy couple looking forward to a bright future. But in the days leading up to Jasmine's tragic death, something was off, something no one could see. Jasmine's family described her as joyful and hopeful, filled with love for Keyshawn and their unborn daughter. But underneath that facade, a darker, more dangerous side of the relationship was brewing. Friends and family hadn't seen it coming. There were no warning signs, no indications of the violence that would erupt. As investigators dug deeper, they uncovered unsettling details. Keyshawn had seemed increasingly jealous and paranoid. Just hours before the murder, he had accused Jasmine of cheating. The conversation between him and a friend revealed his anger, and in the background, the unmistakable sound of Jasmine's screams. Why did Keyshawn snap? What was hidden behind the doors of their home, unseen by everyone who thought they knew them? The questions lingered and the mystery deepened. As the investigation into Jasmine Cooper's death progressed, all eyes turned to her boyfriend, Keyshawn Williams. Evidence and witnesses pointed directly at him. With the mounting pressure, the police began their search for Keyshawn, tracking him down to a relative's home in Pitt County. The scene that followed was tense and intense. Law enforcement quickly surrounded the house, ready to bring him in. But Keyshawn wasn't going down without a fight. A 2-hour standoff ensued, with the police, including the emergency response team, making sure they took every precaution. Tension filled the air as the minutes stretched into what seemed like an eternity. The community watched in shock, waiting for the inevitable confrontation. Finally, after hours of negotiation, Keyshawn was arrested and taken into custody. His capture was a pivotal moment in the case, sending waves of relief through the community. But the lingering question remained: why did it take so long to arrest him? With all the evidence pointing to Keyshawn, why had he eluded capture for so long? As he was led away in handcuffs, the world outside was left wondering what was going on inside Keyshawn's mind during those tense hours. Was he filled with guilt, or did he have a plan all along? As the investigation continued, chilling new details emerged that painted a terrifying picture of what led to Jasmine Cooper's tragic death. Keyshawn Williams had made a phone call to one of Jasmine's close friends the night of the murder. During the call, he accused Jasmine of cheating on him. The friend, horrified, could hear Jasmine screaming in the background as Keyshawn's angry voice echoed through the phone. "Get up or I'll kill you," Keyshawn shouted, his words dripping with malice. The friend's heart sank as the call abruptly ended. This wasn't a spur-of-the-moment outburst. This was something more calculated. A premeditated act of violence, building up over time, ready to erupt. As investigators dug deeper, the pieces began to fall into place. A FaceTime video, taken in the moments before Jasmine's death, surfaced. In it, Jasmine was seen gasping for air, beaten and helpless on the floor. The horror was undeniable. Keyshawn's chilling confession during a police interview only added to the darkness of the case. He admitted to assaulting Jasmine in a fit of rage, but it wasn't just a violent outburst. It was a deliberate attack. The recordings, the screams, the confessions, it all painted a picture of a man who wasn't just angry, but one who had premeditated this brutal assault. It was impossible to ignore the coldness behind his actions. The big question now lingered in the air. How long had Keyshawn been planning this, and what exactly pushed him over the edge that night? The truth seemed more twisted than anyone had imagined. The case took a dark turn when it moved into the courtroom, with Keyshawn Williams now facing the possibility of the death penalty. The prosecution wasted no time, presenting the horrifying details of the crime. They laid bare the brutal attack on Jasmine Cooper, showing how it was a premeditated act of violence rather than a spur-of-the-moment fit of rage. The chilling evidence, recordings, confessions, and the FaceTime video painted a picture of a man willing to kill his girlfriend and their unborn child without remorse. But Keyshawn's defense team was not backing down. They argued that there were complexities to the case, suggesting that something in Keyshawn's past, or his mental state at the time, might explain his actions. They tried to cast doubt on the severity of the crime, hoping to avoid the harshest penalty. As the hearings unfolded, the weight of Keyshawn's history came to light. Investigators uncovered a history of domestic violence that added more fuel to the prosecution's case. This wasn't just a random act of violence, it was part of a disturbing pattern. The courtroom drama was intense, and with each argument, Keyshawn's fate seemed to hang in the balance. His defense fought hard, but the prosecution's case was strong. Now the question loomed larger than ever. Would Keyshawn pay for his horrific crime with his life, or would the legal system offer him a chance for redemption? The tension built, and only time would reveal the answer. The community was shaken to its core by the horrific murder of Jasmine Cooper and her unborn child. No one could believe that a woman, so full of life and excitement about becoming a mother, could be taken so brutally. Neighbors and friends were left in disbelief, trying to understand how something like this could happen in their quiet town. Jasmine's family, particularly her mother and sister, were left devastated. In the courtroom, they spoke out, sharing the unbearable emotional toll of losing Jasmine and her unborn daughter. They described how they had watched her blossom, filled with dreams of motherhood, only for those dreams to be shattered in a violent act. Their pain was palpable, and their words left the courtroom in silence. The case became more than just a tragedy, it was a warning. A stark reminder of the hidden dangers of domestic violence. Law enforcement and activists used Jasmine's death as a catalyst to urge people to speak up when they see the warning signs of abuse. Too often the signs are ignored, and another victim slips through the cracks. But as the grief settled in, something else lingered, the unanswered question of how many more victims are out there. Victims like Jasmine, who had no idea they were living in danger. What else remains to be discovered about Kayshawn and his violent past? Was Jasmine just one of many victims? And most importantly, will the justice system ever bring closure to a grieving family that lost so much? The search for answers continues.